Well, welcome to another video in this ever-changing world and ever-changing passage of salvation that can look like anything from one day to the next. And today it looks like we've got carpet in the brother's house, so all the bedrooms are carpeted now, and I've got my bed at least coming on Friday. The rest of you are going to have to sleep on the very nice new carpet. Only kidding. Oh, I'm sure Jesus will provide some beds by then. So I wanted to talk again about the new Zoom meeting. I'm just making this post for the Facebook page. I'll probably put it on YouTube as well, but the purpose of the Zoom meeting, the new purpose of the Zoom meeting is to bring about a greater sense of the activation that occurs within the process of healing, the process of forgiveness, the process of extending as you receive. Because one of the things that occurs is that people don't find, initially they find the Zoom meetings useful, but people don't find the Zoom meetings useful overall because they're not extending the nature of the Zoom meeting, not the meeting itself, but the purpose of the Zoom meeting in a way that facilitates and represents the idea of give as you have received. So I find that a lot of people just sit there and don't really contribute in the Zoom meeting, don't ask questions, don't anything. And the whole point of the meeting is to get active, is to be about your Father's business in a way where the highest awareness of your purpose, the highest awareness of your functional, useful capacity can be fulfilled. Because if you're only fulfilling just the mundane, domestic, and you're not extending above and beyond, it's like Jesus says in the Bible, if you love only those who love you, what more have you gained? So the whole process of the Zoom meeting, or which is now going to be about the Zoom meeting, is the extension of what it is you're learning in the Zoom meeting. Now that's going to occur through, and I had Anna, who attends nearly all of our Zoom meetings, but Anna wrote to me the other day and she said, I've been fearful of opening my house. This is something she's been on for a while, but opening my living room up for course meetings or whatever. But finally she's decided, no, I'm just going to do it because I don't want to live in that fear anymore. And she's inviting an open invitation for who it is that Jesus is going to send her. Now you have to be very specific in your understanding of that. Jesus will send them. All right. Generally, the willingness to open your house, or we used to, when I was at the Healing Centre, we would often use a community hall or something, and we would go and sit there on a Sunday, put up a few flyers around town, and just let it be known that we're always there. And I was talking to Brother Gregory in Madison in America on Messenger just a few days ago, and he has this thing that he does called the Love Zone, and it's fucking beautiful. He just goes down to the university and sets up a little, I don't even know what his setup is, but it sounds like a little table with some pamphlets or whatever, and he just sits there. He doesn't shout at people or what, nothing. He just sits there with his sign, the Love Zone, and people that feel attracted to want to come and ask him about it, they turn up and they're like, bro, what are you doing? You're always here. There's this natural sort of spark of inquiry that occurs, So our Zoom meetings, and I used to do the same sorts of things, right? So at the Healing Centre, I recognized the need to give this away in some kind of a relatable sense at the highest level that I could, which in those days was very much like we do in the satsang, was teaching. Was expressing the certainty of my mind, having had an experience, or if you haven't had an experience, but having had an experience out of time to realize that there is no world, to somehow begin to extend that message as a frequency of the highest point. And the central lesson of the course is that there is no world. So I'm not just extending it to people that might believe me or that might be sort of online, all in the same Course in Miracles thing. I'm standing there and allowing whoever comes to be sent by God, whoever comes to be perfect, and handing them a little thing. And we're having these beautiful discussions about life, the universe, and everything. and it's extending the light, offering it out at the highest point of the doneness of the universe, and etc. And from the framework of being within that, simply reviewing something that's already gone by, able to then collaborate with whoever else comes. And I had only one person particularly. I used to go. It's kind of funny now looking back, but I had a lady make me this beautiful hemp robe. I would have to say it was a robe. And back in those days, nearly 30 years ago, I was quite the biblical energy, very much Moses on the rock, according to Claire. And this lovely lady, I think her name was Olive, made me this beautiful hemp robe. It was very heavy and very rough clothing and long sleeves, and came down halfway down between my knees and my ankles. And, it was divine. And I knew I had to wear it. I knew I had to wear it, and she made it for me, and I just went out onto the street corner in the middle of the town, and I stood there with some little flyers that I'd printed up myself, just little bits of paper folded over, so there was like 4 pages, and just with some little love hearts drawn on, smiley faces, and just some handwritten sort of notes. You are perfect, you are love and loving, and all this sort of stuff, and a little bit about forgiveness and whatever. And on the back, there was a mention of A Course in Miracles. If you're drawn to these thoughts or these ideas, maybe try this book. And it was like a year later, I'd stopped doing that. I knew I had to do that. I think it was for a period. I did it for about 3 months every Friday or something. Friday. And the funny thing was, the Hare Krishnas, right, who the biggest community in the Southern Hemisphere of Krishna devotees, is not far from where we used to have our healing center, about an hour away. They would come to town on the other corner and play their little their drums and chant and hand out copies of the Bhagavad Gita, and we would kind of give each other a nod, from across the street, and it was really beautiful. It was just this incredible, beautiful energy of, and people would walk past, and being a very touristy town, you'd have people like from the city who are very like, and they need a holiday to get away, and then all of a sudden they come to the beach town, and it's like, oh, I feel better, and then they meet Hare Krishnas and me, and be like, what the hell? Don't expect this. It just keeps getting looser at the edges, less. And I had somebody come back about a year later, and they said, are you the guy? I wasn't wearing my thing, obviously. I'd given it on, passed it onward. And they said, you're the guy that used to stand on the corner and hand out the little thing. And I said, yeah, that's me. And he said, you know what? He said, I read that like 50 times, went and bought a copy of the course, did the workbook lessons, read the whole thing. My whole life has changed for the better, and he was very grateful. And if I stood there all that time just for that one guy, it was worth it, But that's what we're going to repurpose the Zoom meetings for, is to getting people active and activated, extending this out, not just amongst those and those that sort of are already aware of the course, but to make yourself available, which is putting yourself into a new energy, a whole new frequency of defenselessness and willingness. The two things. I'm willing, and I'm willing to be, because you're going to have a lot of people come up to you, and you're going to have people answer your advertisements, and you're going to have put little things online, who wants to do Course in Miracles, meet you at the coffee shop. And there used to be a coffee shop in Melbourne called Miracles Cafe. I don't know if it's still there here in Australia. And upstairs was devoted to A Course in Miracles. The people that ran the coffee shop actually were course students. It was so beautiful. I never went there, but the concept of it and the idea is like, what a blessing. And so there are all these things, right? But it activates you. It activates you. You turn up on a regular basis. And it allows, right, this is the important thing. Try to hear this. It allows, when you open a portal like that, when you stand there as representing the highest good, and you're opening that portal, which is what you're doing, all right? You're allowing access to yourself, right? You're opening a portal, and anything and anyone can come, okay? Now, anything and anyone is going to be symbolically representative of, finger on my nose, my denial. the cast and crew of my, But if I'm in a comfort zone, if I'm in my house and I'm just online, whatever, I can easily just delete, and I don't want to add that person. That person's not into A Course in Miracles. I don't want to know about them, blah, blah, blah. And that is what happens, So in the interests of listen, learn, and do, which is the motto of the course, this Zoom group is going to be now primarily focused on the mind training of the course. We'll still be doing that, but also setting up this kind of personalized networking, or I don't know what you want to call it, outreaching kind of sort of activity where each person in their own neighborhood is going to be able to, according to the desire or the prayer of their heart, listen to their heart and figure out where it is, right, through their own internal guidance, where it is that they're going to be able to extend this in that open portal kind of way. Right? Another example, I used to have a friend of mine. He wasn't a friend initially. I didn't know who he was, just some guy that owned a bookshop with crystals, and, they're all over the place, those sorts of shops. And I went in there one day just to buy some incense or something, when I was into that. And we got talking, and he, in the course of the conversation, of course, out comes A Course in Miracles. I said, this is what I do, and blah, blah, blah. And then we got to a point, and I said to him, would you be willing to have some of these little books and just put them on your counter? The little, where are they? There's one here somewhere. Oh, I can't find it. It's somewhere. I've got a whole bunch of stuff there. But and he said, yeah, sure. Because he gives the books away. People come back to him to buy the big book. He gives away the little ones that we print for free, which are published by the donations that you guys send in. And then other people come back and they're like, I've never heard of this Course in Miracles book. This little brochure is amazing. Can I get the big book? So it's win-win for everybody. The person gets their book. Ray got a sale. He got to order the books in at wholesale and sell them through his shop. And I've had some shopkeepers that have taken stack of those, and I would go around once a month or once every 6 weeks or whatever. Hey Ray, how you going? Have a cup of tea, and then top up his little books for him. So there's millions of, don't limit it. It can look like anything. It can, the extension and the give of this in this specific way. And now in the course, Jesus says, I need your help to get this curriculum into the world. I need your feet, your hands, your voice. And it's time for our Zoom meeting to take a step into that sort of more mature apostleship and take that on board. And it just feels right. And the other night when I was sitting with it, and we did our Zoom last week or the week before, and I'm sitting with that and I'm like, what is wrong with this Zoom meeting? Where is it? It felt capped. It's like the brothers that are attending are just turning up, entering into the same portal of energy every week. Nothing's really shifting in them. Like, guys are having stuff go on, but only on a very domestic, small level. When you open a portal, an open portal to the universe, and just say, right, bring it on. Whoever comes is meant to come, right? Jesus will send them. When you do that, a whole nother thing happens. I promise you a whole nother thing happens. And you may only have one person turn up. That's all that matters. Like that guy on the corner, he came back to me a year or whatever it was later, and thank you. I bought that book, I read it, and I did the lessons, and everything's boom. Sometimes that's all it takes. But I'm not going to be sitting there anymore just doing a traditional kind of satsang. I'll still be speaking from the certainty of my mind to the fact that there is no world, and God is actually a fact. God is. But the processing and the integration of the thought system and the universal curriculum that goes along with all of that as the mechanism of purification, so you can come to be revelation ready, that's another whole thing that has components within it that require it to be given away. If you don't empty your cup, how can the Lord fill it up with the new wine? You know, you've got to continually be giving yourself away, whether that's silently, verbally, whatever it is, but making yourself useful so that you're actually extending the energy, extending the frequency that you're receiving through that willingness to heal and be healed, which is what the satsang is about, and then allowing for that to be the emptying of your cup, wherein, again, you can be refilled. Every time I do one of those satsangs, I have to go and lay down. My physical body cannot really keep up with it. Sometimes like that when I make these videos, although these only go for about half an hour, but remembering that the body was made as a denial, to represent the denial of the light as an instrument of denial, it takes a lot, and it takes a miracle for it to be repurposed, and for that whole cellular association that once worked in the annex of denial to be reconfigured or transfigured to work for your own illumination, and serve the Spirit, serve the Holy Spirit. I know not all of you guys are going to hear that, and some of you guys that come to our Zoom meetings and that tell me you want to and don't show up, or show up once every 3 months or 6 months or whatever, it's like that door is going to close. That door is definitely going to close, and this is going to be an active group. And it has to be, because unless you are activated, unless you activate yourself and say yes to a greater thing, a greater inclusion of yourself in your own process, you're going to just end up using the spiritual concepts and principles to go round and round and round again, and you're going to be a Course in Miracles student for the next 50 years. And I do not want that. Neither does Jesus. Right? Forget this course. Come with wholly empty hands unto your God. The only way that course is going to integrate into you in a way where the meaning that it's meant to have as an idea of, I see where I'm doing in my mind and I perceive the power of my own mind in being able to make a newly oriented decision about myself, the only way you're going to be able to see that is by giving it away, giving away the love that you are. Because that's what you are designed for. You are designed for giving and forgiving. To be forgiving and forgiving. So it's time to get out of the armchairs. I only just got this one. I've had a few people write to me and say, I really love your fluffy chair. I want that fluffy chair when I come to the house. I'm like, no, you can't have it. I say these things, but... yeah. So that's about it. And I'll probably make a few more videos, like along the lines of being of service, because this is a total act of service. You're living your life in service to the greater good, to the brotherhood, servant to all mankind. If you're in this just for your own self, you're missing the whole point entirely, because there is no own self. There is only the universal self. In which case, maybe go and do something less confronting or less demanding, like, read The Power of Now or The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, and prepare yourself for the planting of, greater seeds with integrity later on. I often have people tell me this course is too much for me, I can't do it, whatever. Well, maybe you can't. Maybe you just have to look at it right now and see for yourself. It's like, well, I've been reading this for a while, but I really don't have what it takes to be able to commit to it, or I really don't have what it takes within me because I'm still got stuff in the world I want to do. And I was talking with Harry last night, and not specifically in that regard, but we were talking about, maybe there's other things there that are hiding, and it's either a case of, well, I'm going to heal those other things that are hiding so I can be further about my Father's business without denial lurking in the background, or I'm going to have to go out there in the world, fulfill whatever it is I think I want to do, or get whatever I want to get out of the world, to see again that there's nothing in it. All roads lead to death in the world. I mean, I can tell you that 1,000 times, but until you actually recognize it as your own penny drop moment and realize that it doesn't matter what you do here, there's a 6-foot hole at the end of it for you. Until you realize that, the level of commitment that you have, or the level of willingness, or the depth of willingness, which corresponds with the depth of the prayer of the heart for healing, is going to be in reserve. And that's not going to avail you anything, because a partly trained mind accomplishes nothing. And I would rather have you living in better conditions, which I think is like Rumi, one of the poems by Rumi or Hafiz. I would like to see you living in better conditions, which is the condition of the heart. I'd like to see you just naturally happy all the time for no reason, whether something apparently good or apparently bad happens. No drama. And you know, the funny thing today, Carl and I, brother Carl, came up and helped me paint this house, 3 bedrooms, this whole living room. And today the carpet layers were in there, and they brushed against the paintwork with the carpet roll as it went in, and the paint just peeled straight off. All the rooms and the whole living room, it's like you just rub up against it and off comes the paint. And it says on the tin, it says no primer required, like this is a self-priming paint. It's like everything in time and space is a lie. They tell you no primer, but that's a lie. You need primer. So anyway, being very delicate around the walls at the moment. But we shall see what happens with that. So, but that's about it. Somebody else said, why is there so many ads on my videos? And that's in your settings. I mean, you can upgrade your settings, and I think you have to pay so much a month, and you don't get the ads. But otherwise, there's ads because our channel is monetized, and the money that we get from these videos goes towards those little books that we give out for free. So we're not stopping the ads, because our whole purpose is to get those little books out, and it's like that's been given to us. Thank you, Jesus. That monetization. But if you're complaining about not having money for subscription for YouTube or whatever it is, you're learning to be miracle minded. Right? You're learning to be miracle minded. Say yes and let the universe support you, but you've got to say yes first and make that commitment first. Otherwise, you're going to live in poverty consciousness, wondering why you've never got any money. Why can't I do this stuff? Money, money, money. I'm not a fan of ads either. I mean, they're inane. They're part of it's like mosquitoes, Time and space is generally and lately barely tolerable, but ads, mosquitoes, all these things on top, they're designed to play their part perfectly and piss you off. If anything can piss you off, if anything can show you that there's still upsetness inside of you, then there's still healing to do. It's like when I discovered the paint, the carpet layer came out and said, sorry about this, but I've got to tell you that your paint hasn't been put on properly. And it was like, I thought it was hilarious. I said to him, I'll just pretend you didn't say that. And I just walked away giggling. There's big marks in the walls. I sent a message to Brother Carl, and he sends back this laughing faces. I know at one time in my life I would have been fucking furious. I would have been, what? We just spent 4 days or 3 days, whatever, painting, painting's one of those things, nobody really likes painting, but, it's actually quite meditative if you look at it right, in the right way. But now it's going to have to be all done again, somehow, maybe, perhaps. I have no idea. Anyway, must be time for a nap, I think. That's it. Any questions about the satsangs, the upcoming satsangs? It's funny, since I announced the change of purpose, or it's not really a change of purpose, it's just a furthering of that purpose, an expanding of that purpose that we're giving to the satsangs, the Zoom group. I've had lots of people come out of the woodwork. Ooh, I want to go to your meetings. It's like, cool. We need you. But you will be given jobs to do. You will be sent books to distribute. You'll be sent little books, and Tina will. I probably will forget, but Tina will check up and make sure you're giving them out, and we'll find contacts for you and everything. Like, the whole thing's going to be proactive, collaborative, and just one giant yes, That little book, I've still got something. I think Tina's got plenty there still, but we've sent them all over the world. Even to Africa, we've had some printed in Africa. G'day, all the African people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to change in the next printing. We're going to change the format of that little book. It'll still be fundamentally Course in Miracles, like as it always has been, and it will remain that way with the reviews of the first 50 lessons, which are absolutely mind-blowing. But the preamble and the little stories and things, because that book, that particular format that it's in, was done to address the incredible suicide epidemic that was going on in this country for, I mean, it's still, but it'll be less directed that way and more general, so it'll be more applicable to the greater community rather than people that are really in a bad spot. It'll still be perfectly useful for people really in a bad spot, but yep. So that's about it. Got plenty of yawns going on. I've got my drum kit set up finally over there, and the gongs in the corner, which I have to build a new rack for the gongs, and then we'll have some more gong sessions, I think, in the Zoom meetings as well. People think they're fun. I'll see if we can get some better audio equipment for that, because the resonance of the gongs interferes with the microphone on the phone or on the computer a little bit, and you get this distortion, which is great when you're here, but over the internet it just comes through as kind of like a static. So, all right, that's it. I love you, and be prepared for amazingness. Be prepared for miracles. Thank you. Peace.